every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know, and you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you, and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her? And you spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together.
But, so, you know what? It didn't happen in 1988. It didn't happen 20 years later in 2008. But 12 years later, in 2020, it did happen. Third time's the charm. Joe Biden, Joseph, can you look up his middle name? Look up his middle name. I don't want to disrespect the man. I don't want to disrespect our president-elect.
Oh, trust, but a week from now, he's going to be bad-mouthing the president.
Joseph Robinette? Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. is officially the president-elect of the United States.
Is his dad?
He actually currently has 290 electoral college votes compared to current President Donald Trump's.
Wait, they still haven't called Georgia? Why?
They did a recount, but I think they'll call it soon. But yeah, so we are here. So go back to the so he did it. It didn't happen in 08, but in 2020 he did it.
All it took was a black woman and one of America's worst presidents.
Yeah, no, Joe Biden, he definitely lucked up. Like, all he literally had to do was say, "Yo, I have a heart," and they were comparing his. I saw it on Twitter, and they said this is the first person to defeat an incumbent president by this much in comparison since FDR. And they were talking about the similarities between FDR's campaign and Joseph Biden's campaign. And just how they both were like, hey, we're human. We're all human. It's all love. It's all peace. And it's all motivation. It's a time to heal. We need to unify as a country. But, we jumped the gun a lot. Once again, thank you for listening to the Super Flow Road Podcast, Volume 4, Episode 33. Wow, we are getting up there. Praise God for the small blessings. I am your host, Marcus Flowers, a.k.a. Flo, a.k.a. Call Me What You Want. Just don't call me lazy. And today, I am back. I am joined by the man who has vacation for the past 2 weeks in Tulum, Mexico. He actually hit my line. It was 2 weeks ago. And it was crazy because I got engaged, and on the same day I was getting engaged, my co-host hit my line. He was like, and I said, "Yo, we gotta record the pod. I'm finna go propose to my girl." He was like, "Yo, I actually can't do that because I'm going on vacation." And I was like, "Vacation? This is our best month. We are currently in our best month ever. We cannot take time off." He was like, "Nah, I see you when I see you." And so, in the midst of me trying to run around 2 different states, getting stuff for my engagement, my co-host was like, "Yo, I'm out of here. I'm going to be in Mexico for 2 weeks. I'll be back." So, he came back from Mexico, then had to quarantine himself. So, now he's back. I am joined by none other than Metro Meta 26. Meta, welcome back.
None of that happened.
That all happened.
It didn't happen.
Say your taglines, man.
Y'all know who it is. Metro Meta, he who shall not be named, he shall rise above.
Okay, and as you've heard, we kind of jumped the gun there, but of course we have to start it off with politics. Third time's the charm. Joe Biden is officially the president-elect. One of the craziest things that has happened over the past 5 days is when you go to Twitter and you search real Donald Trump, real Donald, is it real Donald J. Trump or just Trump?
I don't know.
When you go to real Donald J. Trump and it says his tweet and under it says potential lie, and it's kind of like when you're buying a cigarette package and it's like, warning, nicotine, this may kill you. And that's what it currently looks like on Trump's Twitter. Just like, I won this. And it's like, potential lie. Most votes ever. Potential lie. The Democrats screwed me over. Potential lie. And it's just been like that for the past couple of days. And it's been just wild to see. Meta, how did you feel about Joe Biden getting the presidency? Just like, well, how did you feel on election night?
I was nervous on election night. I was just like, oh, this is gonna be pretty bad. I didn't have a lot of faith that Joe Biden was going to win, mostly because I don't trust Americans to not do the wrong thing. And then when I woke up and Joe was like, especially there are a few times I was looking and Trump was ahead, I felt nervous. Then when I woke up and it looked like Joe Biden was about to win, I was like, oh, we got this in the bag. And then I went to school and I was like talking with my coworker and we checked and it was like the same. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then I went home, checked again, and it was still the same. And then like it was like that for like a week. And I was just like, the memes were great, but I was just like, especially when it was like so close to him winning, I'm just like, can we just wrap this up?
Yeah, no, I will say just me just being in media, and this was my first time covering a presidential election, so I was just super excited for this experience and just posting out new content that I've never had the opportunity to post before, and to talk about just like presidents and seeing what states he won and going off of what like the AP said. And it was crazy just seeing the battle in Pennsylvania, in Michigan. I will say Michigan was probably the most scariest race to watch, just because when the polls closed, it was like 65-40 for Trump over Biden. And I was like, wow, he's getting blown out like that. And then one of the things that I really didn't appreciate, just even about like where the memes, you said the memes were good, but like some of the memes were like, Flint, y'all don't want water, and it's like, fam, don't do that. Like that they don't have any control over that. Like you're doing this on the first night, and it kind of just goes to show how people want clout over being a decent human being. And we're even seeing it in the Oval Office right now. We're seeing a man who knows that he's lost, but it's like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna kick it, and I'm gonna be here until I be here. And it's just like we're seeing him melt down in public, and it's like,
but honestly, after the 4 years he put us through, we deserve to watch that man melt down in public. And even more than that, I have a message for Joe Biden. Joe Biden, we gave you this presidency. You won this thanks to African Americans and Native Americans and well-meaning Democrats.
Yeah, no. First of all,
but this is not my message.
Okay.
My message is this.
Okay, go for it.
When Trump barricades himself in that White House, we want to see the tape of you dragging him out. No,
okay.
We do.
Right.
We deserve it. Live, national TV. We deserve to see that happen. Don't listen to those other Democrats who say, treat him with dignity. No, you drag him outside playing Beyonce's To the Left. Do you understand me, Joe? Okay, that's my message.
All right, but yes, first and foremost, shout out to Black women. Yes, first of all, yes, it's just, I have to say that 2 more times, shout out to Black women. Shout out to Black women, just because Black women are the soul of America. And it's crazy to think just how disregarded they are in media, in every aspect of just like culture, of American culture. They're pushed to the side, but they've always led us in the right direction. And we see it once again, especially when it comes to people like Stacey Abrams, who unfairly lost in Georgia, but was like, yo, I read, it was a quote that said, God shows you who you really are in defeat. And we saw that with Stacey Abrams. She buckled down and got over 800,000 Georgians registered to vote, to fight the voter suppression that was in place to not only try to flip the Senate, but to get Joe Biden, but to turn an historically red Georgia blue. Like that's incredible to even think about. Like when you think about like red states that are always red, you think Texas, you think Georgia, you think South Carolina,
Alabama.
you think Alabama, you think Mississippi. So for Stacey Abrams to even lead this charge and to flip Georgia blue, that is a testament in itself. That's saying like, yo, change can happen. You just have to do the work, and it really comes down to just black women and them putting their first foot forward and saying, hey, I know this may not be my battle, but this is my war, and I will show y'all to the promised land. Like, I don't know if you're listening to this, if you're a biblical person, Moses never made it to the promised land, but he showed his people how to get there, and that's definitely what Stacey Abrams has done to an extent. Like I'm not wishing anything bad on her, but she has shown a whole generation of just like youth, of young people who are like your age, Meta, who are my age, who are just like, yo, you say change can't happen in politics. Change can happen in politics, and this is me showing you how to do it. You have to mobilize locally. You have to not only mobilize locally, but get people actually active. Because mobilizing is one thing. Actually having engagement is a whole different sentiment in itself. And for you to do that, that's what's important. And that is what people like Stacey Abrams have showed us.
What I will say is it is amazing to see how, like, for me, whenever people talk about, like, these results and, like, of course on, like, things in TikTok, you have all those, like, you have all these white people being like, man, I was dating a Republican, and how am I going to deal with, like, all my Republican friends? And what I was thinking about was, like, in the black community, we don't deal with those people. Like, we don't have those, like, moments where, like, oh, Thanksgiving's going to be awful. Because, like, those family members get ostracized.
And, yeah, no, I will say that. I will say that as well, just, like, from myself and just my own personal life experience. I don't talk to people and I don't relate to people who still view me as 3/5 of a person. Like, that's just me. If we have to sit here and debate, like, oh, should two people of the same sex get married? Like, what? I'm not finna sit up here and go back and forth with you about that. Like, that should be easy. If you're like, oh, putting kids in cages isn't that bad. Like, we have literally nothing to talk about if you dehumanize, if you voting for a person who actively goes for dehumanizing people, that is their platform. There's nothing for us to talk about. There's nothing for us to kick it with. Like, I don't, like, just, like, your morals say more than your actions. So, if those are your morals, I don't want anything to do with your actions because I see who you are through your morals. And just you showing that to me says a whole lot more than what you say. Like, oh, no, you one of the good ones. Like, okay, that should not make me feel any better.
Yeah, it's just, like, I find it strange. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I dated him for, like, 5 years. And I was like, and then I realized how bad, I was like, you dated him for 5 years. There's no way you sit there for 5 years and was just, like, not talked about politics. You clearly don't care enough.
Right.
And it's just, like, though, and I feel like in a lot of minority communities, that's what happens. And that's why we have such little, like, those pockets. Like, in black men, it was only, like, 18% voted for Trump.
No, it was 8. Don't get it twisted. It was 8% of black men voted for Trump. It was 2% of black women voted for Trump. Ooh. So when they're like, oh, the black men are they're for Trump because he's for business and they want to be like him, and it's like, no, there's only 8% of us that want to be that. What's more astounding, which but isn't surprising, is that 55% of white women voted for Trump.
That's not surprising
Instead
at all.
of... So it actually went up from 53 or 52%. It went up to 55%, which goes to show how just the political system in the United States is built on white supremacy, is built on classism that keeps minorities down. And when you're forced to face that, many people would rather go with the flow than actually deal with what we have to deal with and look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what, this is wrong.
Yeah, and it's just like it's amazing to me how like in tune these communities can be to like mobilize and get everything in town. Like what I remember, like Native Americans were at like 97% voted for Joe Biden.
Right.
So it's just like we saved America. Why do we always have to save America?
And the issue with that is when it comes to just minority communities and people of color having to vote for their conscience instead of what they really want and like their business interests, it also becomes on us to like, we're always expected to reach across the aisle. We're always like, okay, don't feel bad for the Trump supporters. But it's like, hey, you definitely wanted a person who wanted to destroy the ACA, who wanted to continually gut the Voting Rights Act, who wanted to destroy the environment. And it's like, when you are for a person who's with all that, why would I, a minority, want to even deal with you as a person?
All right.
But so yeah, and just lastly, shout out to Kamala Harris. Kamala.
Oh my gosh, it's
Kamala?
not that hard of a name.
It's either Kamala or Kamala.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala. I said it right the first time. But shout out to Kamala Harris for
the AKAs are gonna beat you, and I'm gonna watch it.
For becoming the first person of color to be a vice president. She's also the first HBCU alumni to be in a presidential term. So shout out to her. Once again, shout out to our fellow HBCUers at Howard. We are also HBCU products from
North Carolina A&T
and Claflin University. So we always we give it up. We're all family. So yes, once again, shout out to Madam Vice President Harris. If there are any AKAs listening, please know that my grandmother, my grandmother and my aunt were both AKAs, but and they are watching over me, and so
they are not.
If anybody tries to touch me, they will get you because they are watching over me as I record this podcast. My ancestors are covered me from head to toe.
My mother was Sima Gamma Rho. I'm just throwing that out there.
So yeah, but no. Next up, click on that link.
All right. So
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who basically
AOC.
is the rising star of the Democratic Party. She is 31, 32. She talked about how a lot of the people who lost Senate, who lost House seats in highly contested areas during the pandemic didn't really have a digital game, and she was just trying to give advice. Let me see. Sorry, guys.
So when it comes to AOC and like her mobilizing the Democratic Party to be more technologically sound, I think that is honestly something that overall,
right?
Because like the amount of knowledge these people have on technology is astoundingly sad,
right?
Like and all those like house calls that they've been making to like the big tech people and them like complaining. I'm just sitting there the whole time like, you don't know anything. What is going on here? Like, how are you supposed to make laws on things like YouTube and technology when you don't understand them at a basic fundamental level?
And also if you just know the history of the United States and just looking at like just the way districts are made, a person like a representative like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she can come out and say defund the police, abolish ICE, because she is in a highly blue area that is safe, that typically progressive, she's in a progressive area. But a person like John Hickenlooper, who's in Colorado, who's trying to represent Colorado, he can't come out and say defund the police just because Denver is a blue county, but you also have the rural red areas around Colorado, so he can't necessarily say that. And that is the difference that really needs to be addressed when it comes to just like representation in the United States. That not everybody, of course, humans are complex creatures, and we're all not gonna have the same thoughts. We're all not gonna have the same sentiments. We're all not gonna have the same values. And so, something like that is going to work for a person like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she is in New York, a very blue state, as opposed to Doug Jones, who lost his seat in Alabama, who can't necessarily say defund police, abolish ICE, because some of his constituents still want the police active. And we also have to think about things like, not ICE, but we just have to think about how people view authorities in different regions of the United States.
Okay.
Like a person from Denver or a person from the inner city is going to view the police different than a person who lives on the ranch. Mm-hmm. Like, am I wrong? Tell me when I'm wrong.
You're not wrong, but what I would say is her more finer point isn't about like changing the platform. I think it's how they share the platform. She is mostly pushing towards like doing things like where she did that voter registration on Twitch and like making sure you have a strong digital connection. Like
go ahead.
Like outside of like the presidential where there's so many people and so much money, a lot of these Democrats, they run TV ads, they make stickers, and they're done. Like, no, you need to be online. You need to be talking to online creators. Like, of course, there's always that, like, Hillary Clinton, like, Pokemon go to the polls moment, but you also have things like Joe Biden did his Animal Crossing island.
Yep, and if there's another thing I will say with the creation of social media marketing and just being digital online, like, we're seeing, like, national races become local just because of the way online is set up, such as Jamie Harrison in South Carolina or Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. We're seeing those now. We're seeing those elections in other states, become localized just because of the interaction of the internet.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is going to change. I definitely feel like just because AOC is such a popular figure and she does seem to know what she's doing as far as like getting people elected, especially after that Twitch, she's definitely going to have more of a voice in like how different campaigns are run. I definitely feel like in the future we're going to be seeing a lot more of the Democratic campaigns following her playbook.
Right. But moving on, Jim Clyburn on defund the police. So basically, a lot of many Democratic House representatives, Democratic senators came out with the statement of defund the police and how and just how it works and how the need for it. So he says, I just hope that going forward we'll think about each one of these congressional districts and let people represent their districts. Let's recognize that people should reflect the diversity in our country. So he's basically saying what I was saying previously, is that how people react differently to things that happen in their district. Mm-hmm. And so necessarily a person who's in, like, we're in, what is this, District 12 or something? Or District 9 in Denver is going to look at the police very different than a person in Westminster. A person in Westminster is going to look at the police very different than a person in Colorado Springs. And a person in Colorado Springs is going to look at the police very different than a person in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
But what I would say to this is... Go ahead. What I'm saying to this is, but it affects everyone. Like,
yes.
As much as we talk, like, oh, they're killing black people in the streets, they're doing this, blah, 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 blah. It affects everyone. Like, we saw that with the protests. It does. When police came out in, like, riot gear, like, shooting in the streets. And I'm just like, even if it's mostly affecting, like, the African-American community, you know they're still doing this to the white community, to the Hispanic community, to the Asian community. Like, the fact that our police are extremely militarized is a problem for everyone.
Okay, but you're kind of getting off a subject because you're talking about police and militarization. I'm talking about representatives representing their district. And of course that is a problem, but you have to think about a person who's voting for a representative. If they hear, defund the police, and their representative hasn't gone in depth about what defund the police looks like, why would they vote for them if they want that protection? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if a representative comes out with a blanket statement, defund the police, and it's like, okay, what does that look like? You just said defund the police. Tell me what that looks like. And that's all that Clyburn's saying. He's like, yo, we have to be smarter when it comes to things like this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But overall, I feel like it's a matter of just, like, knowing your district, which you should. If you don't know your district, then you shouldn't be in office.
Right. And, no, that is definitely true. But before we move on, I just have to say, shout out to the home state of Colorado. We did our part. So let me talk about how great this state is. So first off, we gave our electoral college votes to Joe Biden. We flipped our Senate seat from Cory Gardner to former Denver Mayor John Hickenlooper. The Pitbull ban is gone. We introduced wolves back. Ooh, we'll see what happens there. And we also have our first Muslim woman to be a representative in the Colorado state. Muslim.
You said Muslim.
I said Muslim. In the Colorado State House of Representatives. So really shout out to Colorado. We really did our thing. Of course, but that should be nothing new. We know how to keep our races in check. We know how to pull up. We pull up to the polls. That's what we do. But
we're a mail-in state. We do the exact opposite of going up to the polls.
Okay. When we pull up to the polls,
we pulled up to our house.
When we pull up to the polls, we still have to deliver those ballots, right? So that's pulling up to the polls. We still have to, and you can still vote in person. So
I don't know why you'd want to.
Next up, go click over on the notes.
Voting by mail is so convenient. I don't know why anyone would ever.
The hypocrisy of Van Jones.
Who's Van Jones?
I'm sick of this man. That's who he is. So on CNN, Van Jones was crying. Actually, hold up, let me.
Don't play my man. See, now we.
It's Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is a vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. The I can't breathe. That wasn't just George Floyd. There was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe.
All right. Cut it off.
Tweets and you just don't know.
All right. So basically, if you heard that, Van Jones was crying. This man is a psychopath. I think I'm gonna put this clip in the beginning because I want y'all to see how he is not crying. He is stuttering. I'm not here to judge man, but Van Jones is the same man who actively works with the Trump administration. He also is on record saying, I don't care who the president is, I just want prison reform, which is a good thing. But when you're working with a man who he's crying about, who throws kids in cages, who has activated domestic terrorism when it comes to police brutality, who does all these things, you have to look at, we talked about it earlier, how your morals speak louder than your actions. And so when you're saying all these things, we can't believe you because in the past you have shown us that you will do anything to get your way. This is also the man that said, this is the night Donald Trump truly became president because he gave a good speech and didn't talk about anybody. Like, his bar for excellence is so low. He actually, I'm trying to remember why he got kicked out of the Obama administration. But this man is the epitome of, like, what is the worst when it comes to just America, to Americans, to just, like, black men who feel that they are the center of the universe and they have to do anything in their power to get their way.
I mean, man's crying. He embarrassing himself. All right. Will Donald Trump concede?
I'm gonna let you kick this off. Why?
It's Donald Trump. You really think Donald Trump is gonna be like, you know what? Y'all fought a good hard race. Even if they kick him out of the White House, he is going to be on the campaign trail for the next 4 years.
Yeah, so Jared Kushner, Melania Trump advised Trump to accept election losses. So basically, scroll it down. So yeah, his inner circle saying, yo, it's a wrap. Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, has approached him to concede, two sources told CNN. The first lady, according to a separate source familiar with the conversations, has privately said that the time has come for him to accept the election loss. Meanwhile, Trump's two adult sons, Donald Jr. and Eric, have urged allies to continue pressing on, and they have pushed Republicans and supporters to publicly reject the results, even as CNN and other news outlets projected the race for Biden on Saturday. So basically, we have like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We're seeing now how people are trying to protect their brands. Like, Jared Kushner's name wasn't thrown out there just to be thrown out there. Melania Trump's name wasn't thrown out there just to be thrown out there. They're trying to be on the right side of history. Like, yo, you're making a colossal mistake. And just in American history, we haven't really had anything like this ever before. Normally, the loser just automatically concedes. And so with this, this is very unprecedented levels. But Morgan, I will ask you, do you think Trump will concede? Or I think he'll concede, but I just think it'll take a while. He'll be like, you know what?
No,
I tried. America sucks. I'm going to Russia. That's what I see happening.
But here's the thing. I don't think he's going to be allowed to go to Russia.
I think he will be.
But like, no, because Trump he was president of the United States and he had high clearance. He's going to be with the Secret Service for the next few years.
I could see him ditching him and going to Russia. Like, I really could. Like,
no,
there's nothing that he hasn't done that's been like, oh, this is going to be the one that gets him. No, he's done everything.
No, it's not a matter of getting him. It's a matter of the fact that he knows our national secrets. You really think the military, the Secret Service is just going to let Donald Trump, once-time president, who's seen America's secrets, who basically tweets out everything that comes out of his mind, just waltz into Russia?
Yes, I
right
do.
into Putin?
What hasn't he done?
But that damage...
what else has he done? Like, I can definitely see
But the level of damage that would do to our national security.
But you
at that point, they'd be better off just shooting him.
You act like he hasn't already damaged national security.
But that is just Trump being bad as a president. You're talking about something completely different. You're talking about him selling out weapons, information, troop movements.
Yeah, I could definitely...
military strategies.
More
nuclear
you act like
this is like...
He's done everything, like, already. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, he gave his son clearance and he didn't even pass. Like, there's nothing he hasn't done. So him going to Russia would not surprise me in the least.
I don't think they would let him do that, though.
We'll see. That was the last thing. The Kardashians supported Biden. So imagine running for the president of the United States and your spouse does not support you.
I mean,
I don't know if my fiance is listening to this, but if she is, I will say, if I run for president of the United States and you post a picture of the ops after I lose, we are going to have some, and not only you post a picture, but your sisters and your cousins and your whole family post pictures about my ops winning the presidency. We are going to have some issues.
It's cool. I'll be the one posting the picture.
So the Kardashians basically were like, yo, Joe Biden is the winner. Meanwhile, Kanye West was looking at a screen by himself seeing him lose, and he wasn't even in third place. But I will say he got 50,000 votes. So to the 50,000 people who voted for Kanye West, I will say that y'all are not smart. But everybody has the right to believe who they want to believe in, to vote how they want to vote. But
here's my thing. I don't actually think they supported him.
who knows? He got 50,000 votes.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the Kardashians. They're so squeaky clean, perfect family. I definitely feel like they probably might have voted a different way. And either way, there was a picture going up of whoever won. I don't think that they are actually being honest with who they were supporting.
We'll see. But, yeah, what's next?
Rest in peace, King Von.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know who that is.
Rest in peace to rapper King Von, who he put out an album 2 weeks ago. But he was shot in Atlanta. They have caught the man who shot him. He was born in Chicago. He was a Chicago-born rapper. But yeah, we just want to send our condolences to King Von. I really enjoyed his last project. I think he was on his way. It sucks that a young man's life has been taken away from us again. But we are just grateful for the time that he was here with us and we got to experience him. And we just want to pay our respects to his family and just thank them for the gift that he gave us. But yeah, no, that just, once again, rest in peace to King Von.
And keeping the sad train going, Alex Trebek.
Yes, the longtime host of Jeopardy. He passed away from pancreatic cancer. Yes, once again, our thoughts and condolences go out to Alex Trebek. He did that for nearly 4 or 3 decades. So yeah, no, he was fighting cancer for a long time, so cancer sucks, but once again, rest in peace to him. And also, thank you, Alex Trebek, for sharing us your gift during your short time on this earth. We are very grateful for you and your time and your limited time that you spent really creating a culture for us, for generations to really bond with. So yes, shout out to you for that.
Do you
once
think
again,
they
condolences
should cast someone new?
Not for a while. All
right. Arrowverse is changing.
So Arrowverse is becoming the CWVerse, and Stephen Amill was not a fan of it. If you don't know who Stephen Amill is, he was Oliver Queen, aka Archer. He was kind of the creator of the Arrowverse, so to say. His character was. Yep. And can you read that quote?
They may be trying to call it the CWVerse. That's blanking, pissing me off. Honestly, I think that's probably a marketing department, frankly, trying to come up with content when they don't have any. Because I saw that ad for the first time using that name on the B-side of Comic-Con, where all the shows would have footage and none of them do due to COVID.
Yep. So basically, yeah, how do you feel about this?
I'm kind of with him.
Yeah, I am also kind of with Stephen Amill. He is a cultivator of this. I can see why he would feel some type of way. But at the same time, it's not really his call. And when he knows it's about COVID-19, he knows the times that they are in. So, just, everybody is adjusting and reacting to these uncertain times. So it makes sense.
I mean, I get the idea of them wanting, especially since Arrow is not on the air anymore.
Right.
But, like,
it would make sense if they call it like DCverse or something like that.
I would like for them to expand it more.
Right.
What would your next show want to be?
I actually would like a live action Static Shock. I would like them to move more into the Milestone universe with more than Black Lightning and explore that more than the Arrowverse, just because when it comes to DC films, and I already have that on lock, and to just go more deeper into like the Static Shock, into like the Rocket and all of those characters.
Yeah, that's sort of the hard part with it, is they can't really touch things that like main DC is going to be playing with.
Yeah.
I
am excited for Batwoman.
Yeah.
So that's going to be fire. I do have to finish the first season. That has been a task.
I I don't watch a lot of the CW shows anymore.
Yeah, and next up, so DC introduces the non-binary Flash in the latest DC Arrowverse crossover. DC will make history by introducing fans to a new non-binary Flash in the next crossover installment, Future State. So how do you feel about this?
It's gonna depend on who the character. It's gonna depend on who the character is, and
yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it makes sense. I think this is just natural progression, like just of Earth, not Earth, just like television and representing people and making sure viewers see themselves on the air. Like you don't just have to be white, you don't just have to be black, you don't just have to be straight, you don't just have to be gay. You can see all aspects of different types of people in yourself on the screen.
Yeah. Definitely interesting to see what other types of Flash they make. Warner Brother ousts Johnny Depp as Fantastic Beasts. Actually, I wanted to talk more about this one.
Oh, go for it.
So I know Marcus doesn't like Johnny Depp. However, I have sort of been paying attention to what's going on with Johnny Depp and his court cases and all of that. It's fairly interesting. Just because Marcus hasn't been watching the Fantastic Beasts. I watched Fantastic Beasts, the first one, and I watched the second one, not in theaters. I didn't mind them. You know, I'm always down for some more like Harry Potter lore and stuff like that. I did enjoy the second one. Not as much. I really feel like those movies don't exactly know who they want their main character to be. Because, like, they have this whole connection of, like, the Fantastic Beasts and connecting it to Newt. But then it's all about, like, fighting Grindelwald, and it's more of a Dumbledore story. However, Marcus, I did want to get your opinion on why he's being fired.
Just for his abuse of Amber Heard.
But what about Amber Heard's abuse of him?
I mean, they both should lose their jobs, but I just feel like Johnny Depp shouldn't be able to prosper just because of what he did. The amount of harm that you put on one person's life, that should never be overlooked. And abuse is abuse, and there should be consequences for your actions.
All right. That was our last story, I believe.
Yep. No. Once again, thank you for listening to the Super Flow Bro podcast. Once again, I am your host, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka call me what you want. Just don't call me lazy. Find me on all social media platforms at Flow My Hero. That is FLOWMYHERO. Follow Metro Meta on all social media platforms at Metro Meta 26, METROMETA26. Follow the brand everywhere. Look it up, 26 and Glencoe Media Network. We have a few things coming out this week, so be on the lookout for that. And until next time, peace.
See ya. All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta and
At one Marcus Flowers.
And we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you, leave a like, a comment.
Subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe. Subscription.
And don't forget to share with all your friends. And tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.